There's a suspect in East Texas who allegedly is sabotaging the actual navigation controls of boats, including power boats, frequently here in the area of the Brazos River. And what's interesting about this, folks, is this is near kind of the outskirts of the West Texas forest. And so the suspect is clearly Caucasian, very, very tan. It appears that he may have been this man who allegedly his last name was Johnson, allegedly, and he apparently jumped in the river. He was one of the suspects who was sabotaging some of these boats. And so you're going to see here some very, very eerie but important examples of boats that have crashed here in the area near the Lake Harbor, outside of Waco, and some of the original victims and what happened. Up next on the JTC channel. Thank you.
And so when I really think about some of these cases, not one of them is more priority than the other. And I'm not really going to go and show the whole story on this Brazos River case, but it took place near Waco, Texas, kind of outside the outskirts of Dallas. And it's another case, this one dealing directly with the boat wreckage that happened on the Brazos River. It's another one that hardly anyone is covering or has known about this case. So I'm going to bring things like this to the nationwide attention so people really start paying close mind to these cases. And what happened here, a number of boats that ended up basically getting wrecked. I'm not going to be showing the story on screen. Instead, I'm going to be showing some of these boats that were wrecked. They led to, at least 4 or 5 missing people in this area of Texas. And as things have occurred over the years, especially in the Texas arena, people need to realize that, we are not immune to these sorts of issues. That if you're traveling in a boat, you need to really be looking very carefully at the environment. And people get in shipwrecks all the time. And it's another key issue I kind of want to cover here. You can see here some of the boat wreckage from one of these boats that got wrecked and went missing back then. One of them is not even that long ago. It's probably about a year ago. And just for us to remember that these stories can be of someone we knew directly. They can be of a family member. They can be of somebody who is very, very important in our lives. And that they should be treated and afforded, each one of them, the same respect that we would treat and afford ourselves. So thank you. I appreciate you letting me kind of share more of this very significant story and the impact that it has had on the community, and to see what has happened with these people. And the boats, when they wreck on shore, oftentimes there will be almost nothing left of the original architecture, the original design. You cannot recognize these boats in many cases after they wreck. And it's a shame, because we need to learn and be willing to learn a lot more from these incidents and see what's going on when people will disappear in the lakes that are around Waco and similar areas of Texas, and learn from history. Some of these ancient, kind of older shipwrecks, which I will cover in a future video, have a lot of interesting artifacts. They have a lot to teach society They have a lot left over from that kind of gilded age. But they also share a kind of ominous feel as well that we need to pay very close attention to, because the next time someone gets wrecked in a boat and goes overboard or seemingly disappears, in the lake and similar, it could be someone you know. It could be someone that we are very connected to. And so I take it and treat it the same serious way I would treat any kind of cousin or relative of mine. I like to look at these individual stories and I like to give them their own story. So thank you. There's a lot that can be learned from this. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time. This is part of what I wanted to cover. It's covering the main accident that happened here right outside of Waco with the original boat crash that was specified. So a private company known as Adventures with Purpose, who was working on Wednesday in January of 2022 with the Waco Fire Department, recovered the two-tone blue-gray Kia Rio in the river near the south boat ramp of Brazos Park. So in other words, after the boat wreck, there was a serious boat wreck here where basically the stabilizer for the the engine that runs along that little corded area on the outside of the boat's exterior drive, basically for steering. It broke while out there on the water, and so when that girder broke and the similar little frame set underneath the nose on the boat basically broke while they were attempting to do kind of a fast turnaround and then get the steering correct. It caused a major collision right here near Brazos River, which is on the other side of Waco, East Texas. And this collision killed a number of people. This is the car that was recovered directly after they found the people in the wrecked boat. As the boat was capsized and everything started to fall out, this is what was recovered directly after this. It was a blue Kia Rio. They had found it and it's just unbelievable. You can't even make this up, guys. It had been submerged all the way under for over 12 hours. There was all the rust you see here, and there was absolutely no way to identify anything about the original owners of the car or anything else. It was completely destroyed. So it was quite a story, and of course they knew exactly who the victims were because they then checked the manifest for the boat. That boat that was out there on the water, they got wrecked. They had one of the drivers there from Waco, and that is who was driving the Kia Rio, apparently. So a really unbelievable true story. And not all the details are known quite yet. And that's why I'm showing you kind of these special records of various boats that have been wrecked in the area of the Brazos River, right here near the lake of East Texas. You can see these various boats I'm showing you on screen to give you more of just a real feel for the tragedy that's occurred here. A lot of victims have ended up having serious problems in East Texas recently, especially with the crash, the crash-based incidents. And these boats will just collide. There's no way to tell exactly how fast the boat is going. And then this is another story I kind of wanted to show you that's somewhat related to this case in a way because it happened earlier. And it basically happened in the same area. One victim went missing, and two were hurt after they were hurled from the boat's bulkhead going full speed on San Jacinto River, right outside of Harris County, believe it or not. And I want to see if it'll show anything can be taken from this story because it's powerful, for sure, what happened. It's a tragedy that people who otherwise are just, enjoying life, they don't know what can go wrong out there on the water. And in these cases, these missing person cases, we've seen at least one boat, probably more than one, sabotaged by just some kind of mechanical malfunction, essentially.
Right now, search crews back out on the San Jacinto River in East Harris County looking for that missing boater. Authorities believe he was thrown overboard. Debris from recent rains may be slowing the search. Good afternoon, I'm Sherman Chow. Two others were injured in the crash yesterday evening near Rio Villa Drive and Sandridge Court. And that is where our Josh Marshall is now live. What are investigators telling you, Josh?
Hey, Sherman, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department is heading up this investigation. This morning, we watched their boats trolling up and down the river. They say initial reports this boat may have had a broken throttle wire, which may have caused this accident. I want to jump to some video from Air 11 so you can really see the scene because the boat's tied up in the house behind me. From Air 11, you can see the aftermath of that 18-foot-long boat that officials say looks like a bass fishing boat. Investigators say the boat struck the bulkhead at full speed on Sunday evening. A woman who lives near the accident says she rescued a man who was on the boat. He had a severely injured leg. Other neighbors.
So the point is, this one had basically a malfunctioning throttle meter, which is very, very serious when you're dealing with anything on the water, folks. And the point is, as they speak here, and they took the victim to the hospital, you cannot go out on the water and just expect everything is going to always go fine, or that nothing surprising is going to happen. It's one of the most serious things when you go out there in some of these boats. It truly is. And deputies believe a third person who was on board was hurled overboard when the bulkhead hit the stern. And there was heavy rainfall and similar things. But I just wanted you guys to get a real feel of what's been happening here in East Texas. It's a tragedy when we look at these pictures and we see these photos of people who, by all accounts, could have been saved, but they didn't know that a part of their boat was malfunctioning, or that a part of the stern, for example, had been essentially sabotaged. If somebody can rewire a certain circuit on a boat, even if it's inboard stern or something like that, they can cause the boat, potentially, not always, but potentially, to capsize, and everybody aboard the boat, to be killed. And so these are very, very serious cases. And it's just terrible to see kind of the real rundown of what happened. But more and more, we can do things to truly prevent this. And that's why I'm being proactive in alerting you guys. We need to get these cases out there far and wide. We need more people than have normally ever been looking into this to see the incident that happened near Brazos River, near the Jacinto River, near these places here in East Texas, because we don't want to see anything like this keep happening. But people, they need to be more conscientious with themselves. They need to be appropriate when they take their own life in their hands and they get aboard these boats and they do different things. Because all it takes, folks, is one single thing to be wrong in the circuits, or one single thing to be potentially sabotaged. And that's what they think happened, actually, in the Brazos River incident. They believe someone deliberately made that area that's under, near where the stern is. It's over there near the girder that's underneath the wiring. They deliberately caused it to malfunction so that it would crash, and then those victims were instantly killed. And so it's very serious in a manner that we need to pay much more attention, truly, overall, to what's going on out there when people go out on the water, and also to pay especially close attention to what happens with the equipment, because we don't really know. We don't have experts out there who are like dealing with boats all the time, who know what's going on when somebody crashes. And so we need to be paying attention. And I appreciate it once again if you guys would get this out there far and wide. One of the victims was Laura K. Grant, and also William Robert Bowles of Baytown. They each had these problems, and it happened on the Jacinto River. So that wasn't that far from the other prior boating accidents that happened later. And so what that indicates, it's very tragic that people lose their lives sometimes when they go out and they're just traveling around, or they're going on the boats and similar things. We can't be so quick to be carefree in life, is the bottom line that it teaches us, folks. It really teaches us this overall, because to do so is what leads to these tragedies, and what has led to a lot of these incidents across Texas. So thank you again. I appreciate you getting the word out. Make sure to leave your thoughts and feedback when you get a chance. It's always greatly appreciated. And just seeing what's truly happening in Texas is a whole new viewpoint that we can all look from. Thank you again. And that is truly why I wanted to show some of those wrecked boats, so people get a real sense of what's been happening, what's gone on for a while in this area, and it's unusual. It really doesn't jive with the rest of the activities in Texas, of course. And I'm not going to play the clip of this, but this is the other earlier incident with victims that is also related to this kind of problem that's been ongoing in Brazos River. And there are people that speculate that maybe it is sabotage, that somebody is deliberately going in and possibly fiddling with the wiring on a lot of these boats. The woman drowned over the weekend in the Brazos River near Pecan Plantation. This was in 2019. She was out there apparently on a boat, and the boat did run into real problems here in the same area, and essentially capsized. And nobody ever found anything of any note of this original small kind of boat craft that she was on. And they didn't even know why she was out there really on the river. I mean, people go out there most of the time for recreational purposes and things like that, but there was a major storm outside, and it's kind of a strange river to begin with. And you can see the current is never going to slow down or stop. So it probably wasn't the wisest decision to be out in the middle of that whole scenario in the end, I guess. I mean, that might be a way to look at it. But anyway, it's just tragic to see these things because, of course, Sheriff Roger Deeds says that the strong current made their rescue almost impossible. It was so intense that it overturned their Granbury rescue boat in Granbury County. So this happened right there, and Granbury County Rescue had to make sure to retrieve this victim from the water. That's how bad the currents were. They couldn't do anything else. They couldn't send out a dog. They couldn't send in anything else, and they couldn't send in a rescue dog or anything like that, so they had to send in a diver. And this diver rescue team got her out of the water, got the victims back to safety. But it's very unusual because, it's right by the Granbury Dam, and they had reported earlier in the year there was a lot of problems with the Granbury Dam. They had some malfunctions that were going on in their security. And there's been a lot of problems just reported in general about the electronics of these boats. And so I do think that there is definitely some foul play that's been going on here. So again, I appreciate you guys joining this discussion here, and make sure to spread this out there far and wide. Pass the word, for the victims and for the victims' families as well. Let's really spread the awareness and get it out as far as we can. Thank you. I appreciate it. These recent boating accidents have really been something else, and this one was near Freeport, so this is no exception. The Coast Guard rescued 5 from their sinking boat 1 mile off the coast of Freeport on Sunday afternoon. Officials say the call for help came in at noon from a 20-foot-long sailboat right near the peak of Brazos River, East Texas. When crews arrived at the scene, they found all 5 people standing aboard and sinking with life jackets. These boat riders' decisions to proactively put on life jackets assured their preservation. Keith Donahue said in the news release, the Coast Guard was able to safely pull all 5 out of the water and tow the boat to the marina in Freeport. Emergencies can strike without warning, and it's imperative that all boaters wear their life jackets at all times and pay attention to the weather conditions while operating offshore. Boy, I can really relate to that, folks, especially after seeing some of these recent boating accidents and the crash that happened here right outside the Texas harbor. People need to be more conscientious and aware of what they do whenever they go out on the water. And I am positive we would see a lot less accidents overall. And more importantly, I think we are getting more answers here. As each of these things comes to the surface, more answers are starting to come out. So thank you again. Well, this was the man. He was allegedly without clothing and jumped into the river in Brazos County. This happened back in 2016, and this is who is believed to be the main suspect who has been sabotaging the controls and navigation on boats. This has popped up many times when looking into this case, and he also has an accomplice. And apparently he was last seen in 2016. He dashed into the river. He was at West Orem and Almeida Drive, apparently. And I'll even bring this up for you guys so you can see kind of this location. It's very shady, for sure. But he apparently lived here, and he's not that old. I think he's only 30 years old, something similar to that. He apparently lived here in the area doing frequent drop-offs all the time, and he has sabotaged, allegedly, keep that in mind for now, but he has sabotaged the navigation for boats that have gone in the Brazos River, and people have been getting killed in numbers of boat crashes. So this is very interesting. This is a shady area. It's right next to an open orchard, and always great to take a look. Thank you for commenting. Spread the word far and wide, and let's always make sure to get this out there. Thank you.